Yeah. Oh, what's up? This Sunday morning. Oh, fuck. Today is the Lord's Day of Rest and my day of rest. That merciful God who gives us one day a week. One day a week to relax without any entertainment or lifting any fingers or flipping any switches or using any devices, so we can rest and get back to plowing those fields. Thank you, God, fucking Genesis or whatever. Anyways, it's my day of rest because, I have a pretty, I know it doesn't show, but it's because I'm just a naturally skinny guy with a very high metabolism. There they are. There's my buddies, my crows, yeah. What was I saying? I'm a very skinny guy because I have a high metabolism. Like, I can eat, like, fucking, like, 6 to 8 meals a day, and, like, I could do that for months on end and not gain a fucking pound. But I've been working out, like, fucking, like, a solid, like, hour at the minimum, usually 2 hours a day. 6 days a week for, I don't know, last at least year. If you want to build muscle mass, you gotta take a day of rest. And I also gotta take a break from dexedrine because, I'm prescribed like the highest dose you can prescribe because, my ADHD is so bad that it borders on autism. And I take it as prescribed. It doesn't really get me high. It just allows me to function. Not all things have to be abused. And it's funny because they did give it to me in the most abusable format. Since it's Sunday and all that, I'm smoking a fucking joint at 10 in the morning. It's been a while since I've done a wake and bake. I mean, I used to smoke weed all day, but now I usually try to keep it till after 4, sometimes 6. And this may look like a really small fucking joint, but this is the new and improved Slam and Sledge. Not sludge, sledge. Like, hit you over the head with a sledgehammer. Like this, I smoked a fat joint of this shit last night. After I got home, after a couple people's birthday parties, there's 2 birthday parties in one, I guess, if you will. I smoked a fucking fat joint of it, and my tongue was numb. I basically substituted the live resin for diamonds, and diamonds is like 99.9% pure THC or whatever. It's like white crystals. It's fucking beautiful. And some hash. Hey buddies. Fucking I'm feeding the pros. These guys are my homies. I love pros. They're a good company, aren't they? I'm giving them some old frittata bread and some cat food and some cat treats that my cat just won't fucking touch. So, have at her. No, you fucking seagulls. Fuck off, seagulls. Fuck off. It's not for you, seagulls. No seagulls. Fuck off. Well, beautiful. What the fuck's wrong with you? You're too young to be going senile. This is by far the fucking strongest fucking mix I made yet. So just to recap, that's hash. I don't know if you can see my little buddies over there. Oh, Houston. Hash. High potency, very, very high potency indica and sativas. These are definitely probably some of the best indicas and sativas I've smoked yet. CBD oil, oh my god, like look at the fucking resin that's coming off of there already. That was like what, 4 puffs? 3 puffs? Fucking, it's already rezzed up at the end. And yeah, diamonds, which is, yeah, as I said, like super pure fucking THC. And I'm not into that like dabbing shit or like bong rips or whatever, you know. I kind of like fucking seagulls. God damn it. That's not for you, seagulls. That's for the crows. Go get it, crows. Go get it. 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 Oh, I think they already cleaned it out. Jeez, that was quick. That was like a pound and a half of food. There's probably still some left. Go get it. Go get it. Don't be daft. Oh, yeah. There you go. There you go. There you go. Oh yeah. Yeah, crows are good homies, man. Fucking, I just find it very peaceful to like be around them and just like fucking like read or write or whatever. Right now, I'm reading A Homage to Catalonia by George Orwell. Like, I'm so happy I rediscovered Orwell. When I was in grade 10, I believe, grade 10, I was sent to a school for kids with really bad ADD and shit. And it was like, Jesus, you think I fucking go on tangents? Do you think I sound off obnoxiously? Oh boy. This was something else, like, the majority of the kids were fucking intolerable. So there were a few like chill kids who like this. I mostly hung out with this chick who was from like a different municipality, and I used to go up to where she lived, which was this very like bougie area, and sell tabs of acid I'd get for $5 for 20. Actually, that's where the price would start. I'd bid it like an auctioneer because people were just lining up with their wallets open, like, I'll give you 40, man. I'll give you 50. Like, yeah, good times. In my English class, and this is my strategy for passing that grade, just in general. Lunch break, the like 15-minute recess or whatever, we would always spend it fucking getting really fucking stoned and doing whippets. Because a couple of things. One, I mostly hung out with the metalheads who were in the 12th grade, in addition to the that chick. There's actually 2 cool chicks. One of them was from a native reserve in like the Yukon or something. No, not the Yukon. Something like that. Somewhere far north or whatever. Like they would shoplift like big ass fucking boxes of whippets, and so like we were all like relatively like not complete. And I'm not trying to sound insensitive, but we weren't completely autistic like the majority of the kids there. And by completely autistic, I mean like fucking like they just could not, you couldn't silence them if you fucking put a gag on them. Like they, and I'm trying not to dehumanize them, but these kids were fucking annoying. I'm sorry, these kids were really fucking annoying. And you know, I judge people as individuals. I don't care what your fucking disorder is or what your hereditary background is. culture. I don't give a fuck about that. If you're a good person, you're a good person. If you're not, you're not. It's as simple as fucking that. These people were just annoying people. And I really tried. I gave them a chance. And I realized very soon that I just, like, if I did not just ask the teacher after coming in reeking of fucking pot smoke, just what are we doing today? What's the reading? What's the assignment? I'm gonna put in my headphones and just do it. I would have never fucking gotten through that, because it was so noisy. They were fucking giving me migraines constantly, these kids. Oh, and by the way, this is the same school that I passed my fucking science exam on 4 hits of acid. I couldn't even fucking read the fucking questions. I just was like randomly choosing them and hoping for the best, and I actually like got 70%, which is fucking crazy because that's like above probability, the like highest probability, or I think it's the average probability, the odds of, if you're just to randomly, tick boxes or whatever, in a multiple choice or something, that you can get 50%, like. But I got more than that, and yeah, that's surprising. But I have a whole video on that, so you can watch that if you want to hear about it. I don't want to talk about fucking drugs 24 fucking 7, but yeah. So by far the best class was English class. My teacher was pretty fucking chill, and she was really nice. She definitely knew I was fucking ripped every day, because my buddy was always bringing over like huge bongs, and like this guy who was like a family friend. Oh, there's some more of my crow friends. Hey, crows, what's up? What's up, crows? Yeah, there's probably still some treats down there. I hope so. But yeah, where is it? So she, I had a discussion with her, and I was like, you know what, fucking, this is ridiculous. We can't get through like a novella in this class because these kids just won't stop talking and like making like, that's what she said, or like your mom jokes, like, and it, like, we were assigned to Animal Farm, and it took them fucking 6 months to read Animal Farm. It took me like I guess four school days, 5 at the max. Just plugged in my headphones. I wasn't even reading at home. I was reading on the bus on the way home, but I was reading a collection of short stories by Edgar Allan Poe, because I was just getting into like that sort of stuff, and like H.P. Lovecraft. I wasn't really concerned with dystopian futures, totalitarian regimes. Now there is consternation, because yeah, these are fucking real possibilities, and they have happened in other countries, and we're just like, hey, well, that was there, and this happened then, and look how good our world is. It'll never fucking crumble. Look at the slamming success that was COVID. Yeah, no, we're doing fine. Anyways, so I finished Animal Farm, and I was like I think I reread it really quickly, and I even read is like too strong of a term. It's kind of just like going to the high points I remembered in the book, the important parts, and like going over them again. So I told the teacher, and I was like, I really found this interesting. You know, this, like, I thought this was, like, I didn't know who George Orwell was at the time, and I thought it was, like, gonna be some silly fucking, like, you know, like a story with a moral lesson about, you know, accepting kids who are, like, autistic or whatever. Like, I thought it'd be, like, something, like, akin to a children's book, and, like, I think Orwell says at the beginning of the book, like, this is, like, written in a way that is supposed to be like a children's story and can be for children. Children should read it. Oh, we have more crows. What's up, homies? Yeah, see, these are my buddies. Like, they actually, like, they'll come out when I'm having a smoke on the patio and chill with me now. I recognize them. Yeah, be a bro, feed a crow. Yeah, like, I was like totally taken aback by how, like, fucking amazing I found this book to be, you know, and, like, it's so fascinating now knowing that it's all kind of like an allegory for Stalinism, like Snowball is like Trotsky, and you know, but you know, I can do a whole fucking video analyzing that particular book, but because I finished it early, I was just like, do you have anything else by this guy? And she was like, yeah, and like, let me read 1984. But by the way, George Orwell wrote that on his fucking deathbed. He didn't even finish editing it to his satisfaction before he died, at the ripe old age of 47. Yeah, no, I was just like, holy fuck, like, especially in the age of, like, social media, and, like, this was, like, you gotta keep in mind, this was also, like, right when, like, the Snowden leaks and WikiLeaks and shit like that were happening, and it's like, oh shit, maybe our web cameras are watching us, you know, everyone was going, well, maybe just because I'm paranoid doesn't mean they're not following me, you know, like, but like anything, it was like a fad. It just, you know, people forgot about it, and now people just voluntarily, like I'm doing right now, offer up incriminating information on the internet, for attention. I just don't do it on Facebook. I don't have Twitter. I just try to stay, like, as far from those things as possible. YouTube's, like, really what I use the most on the internet, other than, I guess, Steam to play video games, but that's not really it. I mean, I guess you could call it a social sort of nexus, but it's not a social media platform. I wouldn't even go so far as to say YouTube's a social media platform. I mean, I guess you really want to, like, categorize things. I try to make an effort not to be, like, overly categorical and, like, you know, branding this and that or whatever. You can quote me on that. I try not to categorize or brand this and that or whatever. The Shaman. I'm fucking stoned, dude. Yeah, that's seriously all it takes for that shit, man. Like, I can't even feel the inside of my mouth. It's like it's seriously like when you do, like, nummies with coke. But anyways, 1984 was so great, and, you know, I've heard so many people, like, be like, yeah, it isn't written very well, and it's like, well, you know, like I said, he didn't even finish editing it before he died. He was writing it as he was dying of horrible tuberculosis related complications, while smoking very heavily on his deathbed too. So wasn't having a good time. But he made this like incredibly prescient piece of dystopian fiction that a lot of people kind of just shrug off because they've seen all the parts of media over the years since then that has been like directly influenced by it. So, and I think that's just a stupid perspective. Like, I'm sorry if you hold that perspective. I don't think you're stupid. I just think you hold a stupid perspective because, it's even more so. But another example of this is the whole post-apocalyptic wasteland setting for a story, a film, whatever, the video game, Fallout. Fucking everyone loves Fallout. Like, no one knows that it started with a short story, Harlan Ellison's A Boy Loves His Dog. It is a fucked up story. My God, I love Harlan Ellison. I've mostly just read his short stories, and I've seen the episodes of Outer Limits, like the old one that he did. He actually sued James Cameron because he said James Cameron ripped off one of his episodes. I saw the episode, and it was like, it had some similarities. It was like they sent a time-traveling human back in time who was like trained to be a soldier to fight these like weird cloud monster things. So kinda, but not really at the same time. I mean, it didn't have robots in it. But I mean, he also did write an episode called Demon with a Glass Hand, which is my favorite episode of the original Outer Limits. It's a really fucking cool episode. It's this dude who just like wakes up one day in the city. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Dark City. It's kind of like that. Kind of, but just without the city like actually like moving around. Yeah, there are my crows. What's up, crows? What's up? I'm sorry I don't have more food for you. So it's this guy. He has amnesia, so he doesn't know where he is. He doesn't know who he is. He doesn't know what the fuck's going on. All he knows is he has this like glass robotic arm that is like giving him directions. Kind of like that scene of like Neo in the Matrix, where he's like being guided by Morpheus through the offices at the beginning to evade capture by Agent Smith, or the Smiths, the kind of the Men in Black type characters in that franchise. I mean, I hate most of the sequels, but anyways, so in Demon with a Glass Hand, like these aliens just start like teleporting into his vicinity and like trying to like blast him with fucking laser guns and shit. And he meets this like really hot chick, and she's like the last human left on Earth, and like the big reveal is that he's actually a robot himself, and the planet is completely barren, and he's been sent to like live for 1,000,000 years with the awareness of a human being just walking this empty, desolate planet, while aliens that want to kill you just randomly fucking like come out of portals all over the place. Yeah, no, it's a pretty fucked up story, but like the post-apocalyptic wasteland stuff is, yeah, a boy, it was either a boy and his dog or a boy loves his dog. I'm pretty sure it's a boy loves his dog. It's been a long time since I've read it. I saw the movie too. The movie was actually pretty good. And it's hard to make a movie about a story that revolves around a 14-year-old boy in a post-apocalyptic wasteland with a telepathic dog, because they injected like dolphin stem cells or something into his spine, and it made him like telepathic, but only with that one boy, and he's like spending the entirety of the story like going around trying to find like dead bodies to fuck. Like it's a pretty fucking bleak story, dude. And then he goes like to this like underground society where like it's like a this sort of like capsule of an American suburb, and it's as though like a copy and paste, just like underground of an American suburb, but people in the suburb all have like, they all kind of look like mimes, and there's all these women who need to be impregnated, I think because most of the men are too old or they're like infertile from like radiation or some shit. And so like the boys like, oh fuck yeah, I get to fuck all these women, hell yeah. But then they just like start like pulling his jizz out with this machine. Just like they strap him down and fucking like basically put this like thing that's like a cross between like a vacuum and a flashlight on his dick, and he's like, this isn't what I signed up for. But yeah, no, he calls his dog dog meat. That's why your dog in Fallout like 76, whatever there, or Fallout 4 was it? I don't know. They're both of those are kind of forgettable games, in my opinion, in my humble opinion. But your dog's called dog meat. Yeah, that's the reference. It wasn't Mad Max or anything like that started it. It was that story. Mad Max was inspired by that story. And Orwell inspired all the, dystopian fiction that came after. Some might argue that Aldous Huxley, a far more academic writer who wrote Brave New World, which, a lot of people compare it to 1984, but I don't really... I think they're kind of like polar opposite forms of dystopian fiction. Like 1984 is all about like weaponizing information and like the government of Oceania having this system that makes it seem like through means of socialism they are equally providing everyone with anything they need, and they've like abolished shit they've deemed redundant, like the orgasm, which is like why the character in it like kind of like his inner thoughts kind of sound a little rapey at the beginning, yeah, no, it's a phenomenal fucking book. And the one I'm reading now, Homage to Catalonia, it's fascinating. It's kind of horrifying at the same time, because it's all real what he's saying. So the premise basically is, after George Orwell, so he was part of the British Imperial Army, and he was stationed as, I believe, like a MP, like military police in Burma, around, I think, the time of World War One. And he never killed anyone there himself, but he definitely was trained like a soldier, and he had to unfortunately guide numerous monks and just like citizens to the wall to be killed by firing squad. And he wrote a great essay that I haven't read. Everyone I've heard talk about it say it's really fucking great. Oh, there they go. Oh, they got the last of it. Hell yeah. Right on, crows. Right on. What made him leave was he was ordered to shoot an elephant. And I think it was against the same wall where they were like bringing the monks and shit to be executed. I don't know why they're executing monks. And that's imperialism for you, I guess. Anyways, oh, fuck's sake. yeah, so I think his conscience was like, just completely shredded by that experience. And like from descriptions I've heard of the essay, it sounds like he writes it in a way where like the killing of the elephant is also symbolic of like how he feels complicit in the death of actual people that he essentially escorted to be executed in a rather like unceremonious pretty unjust fashion. And so I think in an effort to make up for it, he just decided to instead of I think his family wasn't rich, but they had money, so like he could have like gone to college and just like had a normal fucking life or whatever, except he did have tuberculosis his entire life, so that like kind of fucked him up. And characters in history like Doc Holliday, who had tuberculosis, like they really lived like it was like each day was their last. Like, that's why Doc Holliday was just like such a feared fucking gunslinger, because he didn't care if he fucking died, because he knew he could drop at any fucking time. But with Orwell, he was also a very heavy smoker of just like fucking like the strongest tobacco he could find. He even like candidly wrote about smoking weed, or not weed, but keef, out of like a hookah or something in Morocco, when he was stationed there, and like he was unable to find tobacco, and he was just like fucking jonesing, and he said it just made him more pissed off that he couldn't find cigarettes or something like that. And someone wrote a big nothing burger of an article called something like George Orwell smoked weed and had a bad time, and it was really just him saying like, yeah, it didn't really do much for me. But so I think in an effort to find catharsis, like absolution for what the wrongs he felt he did and this is just my opinion. This is my opinion of the dude. I don't know the man. I obviously like there's no existing fucking like footage or interviews that actually have recordings of him. There are transcripts. It's weird because he was a BBC correspondent. But I'm pretty sure they like deliberately destroyed a lot of his recordings because he was so subversive, mainly for being like the first like published author to really like criticize Stalin, because Britain was really hunky dory with Stalin. They had as their media correspondent. And this actually ties back into Animal Farm, which is interesting. So they had like this Pulitzer Prize winning, like very fucking honored British journalist in Russia who Stalin hired to basically cover up the fact that like the majority of people in rural areas were dying of a famine because like they had the stupidest this is almost like parody method of like farming, and it's caused just this big agrarian fucking crisis, and people are starving. Like they were like, if we put the plants closer together, then there'll be like comrades or something like that. I'm pretty sure that's how the like botanists sold it. Botanists, I don't know, like agrarian specialist, I don't know what the fucking term would be for that kind of acute area of study, but like I guess he probably had a different idea in his mind, but had to pitch it to Stalin and communist rhetoric, and so essentially this was all exposed by a dude named Gareth Jones, who went in and risked his life to like go out into these foodless fucking areas and like dead ass fucking cold Russia, where he took a bunch of pictures and showed them to Orwell, and Orwell, who was a socialist at the time, was like extremely fucking disenchanted. Like I think he had like a fucking just like crisis of ideology, because he was really into socialism for a while, and I mean, Gareth Jones showed this stuff to him, I believe, before he brought it public, and yeah, like that's why the only human mentioned in animal form, actually I think his wife's mentioned too, but they both have the same name, the same last name, Jones, Gareth Jones. Yeah, anyways, back to Homage Catalonia. So this book, came way before Animal Farm and all that. So he was fairly young when he wrote this. I don't know if this was like right after Burma or after he did stuff like Road to Wigan Pier, where he just like, and then Down and Out, or I think he did Down and Out in London, Paris before Road to Wigan Pier, where he he made the choice to thrust himself into the most like impoverished, like suffering communities in Europe. Like in Down and Out in London, Paris, he fucking was a dishwasher 16 hours a day, 6 days a week, getting paid fuck all. Like he could barely afford food and rent and cigarettes, which were like if he only had money to buy either cigarettes or food, he would buy cigarettes. But yeah. Anyways, Homage Catalonia, I think was I don't know. Anyways, I think why he did it was because of that guilt he felt with the whole elephant thing, and essentially Homage Catalonia, it takes place in Spanish Civil War, and the Spanish Civil War is an interesting footnote in history. Okay, so like, oh, there go some of my buddies. Bye bye. Hope your tummies are full. Yeah, so, fuck, I wish I brought another joint with me. Goddamn, like, I'm stoned, but I want to be more stoned. Anyways. So, this is how fucked up the Spanish Civil War was. World War II was blazing across the entire planet. Countries were being occupied by fascists. The Allies were setting up puppet governments, like, cities were being firebombed, which, like, these firebombings usually had casualties that, like, were much worse than, like, Hiroshima and Nagasaki. But like a single firebombing of Tokyo killed more people than both atom bombs that were set off in Japan combined. But anyways, so essentially what was going on in Spain was there was a fascist dictatorship, and it was being heavily supplied by the Soviets. This is kind of part of why Orwell became very critical of Stalin very early, because these fascists were essentially, they were being fascists, like, they're killing everyone who wasn't, like, down with their cause or whatever. And they also would espouse communism, I think, just as kind of like, because they had to, like, oh yeah, you guys gave us the guns, so yeah, okay, hoorah communism. But at the end of the day, fascism, that sort of thing. So Orwell signed up to fight with the anarchist militias that were literally the proletariat, that were literally, your average schmo. It is so interesting how, like, I'm only like fucking 40 pages in, and like, honestly, it took me more time to read the fucking 2 forewords to the book than the 40 pages, but, like, I've deliberately been taking my time with this because it's, like, it's so nuanced, and, like, the perspective is so fascinating because, like, you know, it's from the perspective of someone who is a battle-hardened soldier who is, like, well aware of the fact that there are people everywhere who want to kill him, and that he will do anything in his power to kill these people and to keep them from killing, like, innocent civilians. And like I said, he didn't kill anyone until this book. Now, I haven't got to him killing anyone yet, but he sure tried already. But, like, it was kind of funny. He was criticizing the militia's army a lot, or the anarchist militia army, because it was mostly, he was fighting alongside, like, 11 to 15-year-old boys. No, seriously, yeah. And it's actually kind of funny. He was like, at first very, like, sympathetic and like, oh, like, these are kids, they shouldn't be fighting in a war. And then he's like, these fucking kids are so incompetent, you know, like, you know, these obviously aren't his words, I'm paraphrasing here, but, you know, he said something to the effect of, like, these kids, like, are not meant for battle, trench warfare. Like, their biggest problem was the lack of sleep. You know, I would constantly have to pull them out of their cot by their boots, and then they would try to fall asleep against the wall. And we were waiting for fascists that never came. And if they wanted to, they could have sent like, this is so funny. They could have sent a bunch of Girl Guides scouts with BB guns, and they could have fucking taken us out easy. I just found that, like, really fucking funny. But I mean, what wasn't so funny though was the fact that like, no one was really trained very well, because they didn't have rifles. They didn't have weapons, you know. Like, the idea was they were supposed to scavenge a weapon off of, like, someone else. But then they did, like, get issued rifles, and they were like, fucking dog shit. Like, the one Orwell has got was like the Mausers that like the straight pull Mausers that the Germans used in World War I, which are great hunting rifles maybe, but not great for trench warfare. And you know, when they're 50 years old and rusty and full of dirt, yeah, not great weapons. I think, you know, any weapon that is rusty and full of dirt is not a great weapon, not a reliable weapon. And one of these rifles, I think Orwell said it was the cartridge that instead of it being a malfunction on just behalf of the shoddy rifle, but he said there was a misfire and it caused the straight pull bolt to fly back into one of the kids' faces. Like, they were dumped, essentially, like, or, well, not dumped, I guess, but they scouted their way up to this point to attack the fascists from, and they were so far from the fascists that Orwell said they looked like bugs in the distance, like flies. They were so fucking tiny, and he was just like, what the fuck, this is so disorganized, what is going on here? Like, one of the kids tries to fire in their direction, and the bolt flies back, and it fucking rips his face off. Like, Jesus fucking Christ, man. Like, I mean, we have the fucking luxury of living in a world where we don't have to go outside and think, okay, what is going to act as good cover against people with guns who want to kill me because I'm not going to bow down to their fucking ideology? Where can I potentially stage a rifle or a machine gun if I even have one? Like, we have the luxury of not having to live like that. And I think it's so fascinating that Orwell didn't have to live like that, but he did, because he thought it was the right thing to do. He thought these were stories that were, worth telling. Like, fuck, like the Spanish Civil War made Hemingway a communist. Hemingway, like the man's fucking man, like, like the Chad of fucking, like, authors. The very alcoholic, like absolutely nuts, gun nut, fucking, like, oh, you gotta beef with me, I'll fucking beat the shit out of you, you fucking pansy, like, kind of man, like, that is definitely Hemingway for sure. But yeah, no, that shit, like, he went there, I think, to assist in a documentary, because he was an actual soldier, and I believe he was supposed to cover the story and also, like, protect the documentarian from, the fascist fusillades of fucking gunfire. But interestingly enough, that was what inspired For Whom the Bell Tolls. I actually haven't read that one. I've read A Farewell to Arms, which was about Hemingway in Italy, when he almost got his leg blown off by a mortar as he was delivering, like, morale-boosting supplies, so basically cigarettes and chocolate, to Italians on the front line. Back to Orwell. Like, I think his take is the most, to me, the most interesting on this, at least from Western writers. Like, they're definitely interesting figures, like, who were from Spain in that revolutionary battle. Like that one woman who, like, if you search Spanish Civil War or whatever and Google, or resistance fighters, she's like one of the first pictures to come up, and she's like holding a fucking giant machine gun, or something. It's been a while since I've seen the picture. Fucking, like he talks about how he on his own, Orwell, by the way, just to specify, he on his own saw a position that was being held by a fascist, is a trench, and he was going to go scout it by himself, and they all came out of the trench right as he was like 5 feet away from it, and he dove into this like tiny fucking bush that was covering him, or like it was the only cover in the area, and he tried to use it to cover him, and he couldn't stress enough how, like, not adequate that was for cover, because he was like a very tall guy. Something he pointed out quite a bit in Road to Wigan Pier, because, like, in Road to Wigan Pier, it's him covering like the brutal fucking lives of coal miners in the UK, and they would hire coal miners who were like very short dudes, because they had to do this like 6-mile fucking trek underground every day to the coal mines and strip naked and fucking, start mining coal, which, obviously it wasn't good for George Orwell's fucking tuberculosis. But, he was there with them doing it and documenting their lives. He didn't have to do this. He wasn't making very much fucking money by doing it. He just did it because he just thought these were stories that needed to be told. And as I said, I think he had a guilty conscience because of the whole imperial military police thing, which honestly I don't even think was his fault, because I think he was, I could be wrong about this, but I think he was sent directly after boarding school, where he was horribly abused. into like the cadets, and then they kind of brainwashed him into like believing, oh yes, the British, the crown never the sun never sets on England. The crown is reaches, its tendrils reach every fucking facet of the globe, and we've got to do our best to ensure that. So he's brainwashed into it essentially. But he finally had enough, and basically martyred himself. All that exposure to toll particles for I think at least a year. And these people were like working I think 6 days a week. And these were long shifts, like at least 12 hours, 16 hours, I think. And they're actually quite happy people. Like I read it a long fucking time ago. But so my recollection of it is kind of hazy. But I remember him having a great deal of respect for how these people. They were very simple people, but they were very content with. I have a home and a family. Life is good. And no one else was. BBC was trying to fucking tell these stories at that time. I don't think anyone really tries to tell stories like that today. Who wants to hear about fucking how terrible asbestos removal is? I did that. My partner, he wasn't even 50, I think he was 49, and he looked like he was 70, and he had fucking terrible lung cancer in both lungs, and he chain smoked all fucking day, and but the lung cancer was from asbestos. Luckily, that made him a stickler when it came to preventing hazards, and we'd duct tape fucking our suits onto ourselves after going through a cold shower. This was level 10 hazard job that we did. This is my first fucking asbestos job too. Actually, it was my last one as well, because the foreman was kind of a fucking prick, and I think he kept being oh, you didn't get all your money in your check? Oh, okay, well, your other money is at this place way over there. And I'd go there and it'd be $40, and I finally got most of it, but I think I still shorted $60. I wasn't getting paid very much at the time. It was $14 an hour, and I remember that was a good wage at the time. This was probably 12 years back. But those 10-hour shifts were fucking horrible. It was scraping upwards like that, because it was the stucco on office ceilings, and it was just raining down on you while you have this big fucking respirator on. And this is when I was starting to form an addiction to heroin, so I remember actually I think I injected fucking morphine on the job, and I one day I just did too much, and I was kind of nodding out as I was fucking scraping the shit. It was miserable, but all the other dudes were on meth, so fucking whatever. They couldn't judge me for it. That was nothing. And the point I'm making is that was fucking nothing. That was nothing. And I was doing that because I needed fucking money, because I was a homeless fucking budding addict at the time. And Orwell, did what he did with fucking tuberculosis. No one was paying him to do it. I don't think any publication was giving him money to go out and do it. He never made very much money. He certainly didn't make money off of much to Catalonia. He talks about how you know, like he had to like resort to like picking up like cigarette butts and shit. But yeah, like, oh god, I mean, it's just like, it really makes me think, like, when I hear people fucking whinge in life about shit that is like so just petty and like social bullshit, or like, you know, part of why I was so frustrated in my last video is because like I'm watching, you know, like especially this one specific YouTuber just like completely lie to his own face and lie to his audience and destroy himself and his family, and for the stupidest fucking reason, being addicted to like one of the lamest fucking drugs ever. And like it's like really, dude, really, like, are these like the problems that like we really need to be concerned with? Like they're like oh, I fucking like I spent my life just fucking getting wasted and shit. Like, oh no, I wasted my life. And it's like, well, hey, you're still fucking here. Do something with it then. Like, deep down I know that because, you know, there's still no known reason as to why I have the conditions I have, why I, you know, have so much chronic nerve pain, why it gets so bad that I shake sometimes. Actually, I shake quite a bit and I twitch quite a bit, and it's been getting a lot worse. Part of that is, of course, due to the benzo taper, which is a living fucking nightmare. But you know, I'm not gonna fucking make other people like have to like suffer with me through it. It's my bed. I have to fucking lay on it. So be it. You know. Buy a ticket, take the ride. You get what you fucking pay for. Whatever fucking, you know, platitude, fucking metaphor you want to use, it applies. You know, I have no bones about saying, you know, this is something I should definitely be accountable for. I'm definitely paying for it, that's for sure. But yeah, like, the reason I started taking the benzos again, yeah, my crows are they're still hanging out. They're just hanging out. There's no food left. See, I mean, it's just so nice. They like follow me around and shit now. Yeah, I fucking love crows, man. But anyways, so the reason I started taking them was because, like, my chronic pain was getting worse, and I was working myself, you know, 6 days a week at a super easy fucking job, you know, selling weed in a park, which I did honestly, and I think I did well, and I think I very much benefited the fucking person who I worked for, who has now said some very like patently stupid accusatory shit about me. I think he said I was both like undercover cop or an informant, and I stole from him or some shit, even though like one day he was nodding out so much on fucking fentanyl that like he was dropping his money, and I was like picking it up, and like he dropped like fucking blotter on the ground, and like I was like, dude, fucking, you're like fucking, dude, you're dropping shit everywhere. You just dropped like fucking like $500. And I'm not even joking. You dropped like a big ass fucking wad of cash on the ground, and then just fucking like nod it out. Yeah, that was an experience. Those are some of my lesser viewed videos, unfortunately, like the one where I talk about right after getting my face slammed into the fucking ground, after some fucking candy ass motherfucker tried to get some junkies to rob us, and it didn't work, and I fucking chased him off with the baton. And my boss fucking grabbed the baton from my my hand and fucking smack the weed off this dude's table. It's fucking dirt weed, and the junkies just start fucking picking it out of the grass. It's fucking, yeah, we had a good laugh at that part anyways. Because yeah, they fucking like tried to gang up on my boss, and then while they were doing that, the other one started trying to fucking steal shit that was in the display cases, like fucking live resin and diamonds and shit, which is those are expensive fucking like THC concentrates. And so I had to chase them and like get them to drop their shit, like by threatening to fucking smack them with the baton, because there was like 5 of them and there was 1 of me. If it's one-on-one, I'm not fucking using a weapon, but you know, it's not the first time I have had to square off with like 5 people, and yeah, the time before that I got shit kicked. You know, but yeah, I mean, what I'm getting at, and the reason why, you know, it's like I'm being a little deliberately obtuse here is because, you know, it's a hard thing to kind of acknowledge, but I think that, yeah, like I was using, you know, benzos, ketamine, shit like that, like very excessively, because deep down I knew that there's something like very, very fucking wrong with my health, and it was scaring me, and I had to fucking hold down this fucking job, and I believed in the job, I believed in my boss at the time, I trusted him at the time, I thought he was a homie at the time, but hey, yeah, people suck, and we all die at the end, you know. There are just some facts of life that are kind of bitter pills to swallow, but you gotta fucking open up, and you know, you might as well do it with a shit-eating grin. So you're welcome for all the fucking money I made you. Anyways, yeah, so I think that I'm probably not gonna live much longer than 50, at least like not in a happy, healthy way, and I'm not talking about like not doing exercise or anything like that. As I said, I exercise to the point of being like sore as fuck every day, but in a weird way it's kind of a release from the pain that is existing within my nerves. Hello, Juju. I love birdsong, and it's so nice to have it in my area now that I've got bird feeders up. But I try not to make too much noise when I hear them sounding off, because I remember someone, I think it was like Come Town or whatever, and they were like making fun of the Jordan Peterson book, 12 Rules for Life, and how like he says like when he was a kid he heard birdsong and he was like, this is so beautiful, and he like recorded it and he went out to play it back to the bird the next day, and the bird fucking attacked him. Sorry, that's just too funny. That is too fucking funny. But yeah, I think I'll have like Parkinson's by the time I'm 50. And you know what? It could be from fucking you know, like I know I've done damage to my brain from like particularly, you know, all the bad drugs that have been in my body over the years. My theory is that my brain kind of malformed from having like methadone in my system all the time, or Suboxone from a very young age, which walls off your pain receptors essentially, and so I think like there's a myelin sheath that's very crucial on one of those receptors for how your nerves interact with your brain. And my nerve pain is neuralgic, so that means it's not my nerves themselves, we found this out through very painful fucking trials, where they would inject me with these giant needles that had gel in it, and the gel was supposed to like block the nerve, and it didn't do anything, so that meant that my brain was misinterpreting the signals. So I think the most likely theory is that, but I also think there's either something more going on, or that malformation has caused my brain, or my body, the conditions that affect it to become worse, unfortunately. And they probably will grow worse as I grow older. And, you know, part of why I'm such a shameless fucking cigarette smoker. Yeah, you could say I'm a doomer, I guess. But I think that like most like doomers I've listened to are like fucking incels and shit, and like you know, for the convoy and fucking like anti-vaxxers, and just like you know, Alex Jones, alt-right light types. You know, there you go. Yeah. She sells seashells by the seashore. Alt-right light types. Say that 5 times fast. In public, around a lot of people. Yeah, I'm sure you'll get some like very approving glances from that. I'm really good at sarcasm, I know. But how does everything I just said fit together? Well, I think I know what my calling in life is. I think I know what my purpose is. You know, I try to help people where I can, but there's like one issue when you have a host of your own problems and you try to help other people with their problems, is that sometimes you can lose sight of, you know, how much your own problems are affecting your interactions with those people. That's why, like, the majority of relationships I've been in have been super fucking toxic. Something I call the bird with the broken wing syndrome, where I will go, oh, hey, this fine, attractive lady over here, she has bipolar, and I am homeless and fucking basically an alcoholic because I can steal alcohol from corporate liquor stores or government liquor stores, and I can't afford heroin. So, you know, it was a pretty rough part of my life, but I tricked myself into believing that I would not have to focus on my own problems if I helped, you know, her with her problems, and I got stabbed on my birthday because she went into mania and thought I was a Hell's Angels proxy, despite being with her for 8 months, nearly every day, all day, who, yeah, was going to kill her. So, yeah, she decided to try to kill me instead. Yeah, that was something. That was something that kind of set me back a bit. And so I'm never averse to like trying to help my friends out with mental health issues and shit, and hear my friends out. But sometimes I do have to like draw a line in the sand and be like, you know, just for the best of both of us, I want to make sure that like we're doing this for the right intentions and like in a way that is honest and considerate of each other. And there's also a part of me, and this may be selfish, but you know, it may be me compensating for the fact that so many people have, like, because I don't have, except for my right arm and my hand, I don't have really, and like the fuckload of scars I've gotten from being stabbed multiple times, shit like that, and the scars I've got on my arms from fucking shooting up, people can't tell that I have issues. I look pretty normal. I take care of myself. I think so anyways. Like, I'm ordinarily pretty active. Much harder with the benzo fucking taper. It's made shit a lot worse. But you know, I'm not gonna try to win too much about that. But what really pisses me off though is people when I'll try to talk about it will be like, you know, there are people out there who are suffering worse than you. Do you ever consider that? And it's like, oh, no, that's not possible. No one could be suffering worse than me. Fuck off. Like, it's so stupid. Like, oh my god, I'm not even gonna get into the layers of stupidity that goes into that, and the layers of just like insensitivity, and like, you might as well just tell me to my face that you don't give a fuck and to shut up. That would be less insulting. But you know what? I'm not making this a pity party, because you know what? I'm gonna churn this fucking, you know, dry shit-stained hay that I've just fucking retched up for you, if you will, into gold, because I think my calling is as a conflict journalist, like George Orwell or Christopher Hitchens. I think, you know, I want to be out there covering, you know, like parts of the world that are seriously embroiled in, like, you know, just like everyday life, having some of the most agonizing things one can ever experience, you know, like having no sanctuary whatsoever in your home because you could be raided by a dictator or a regime and their fucking cronies. That is, you know, the result of a dictatorship or whatever. You could, I could go around and, you know, actually get on the fucking front lines, and, you know, I would definitely want to have a gun if I'm on the front lines. You know, not that I'd want to kill anyone, but if someone would try to kill me, and they were, like, someone who's probably killed a lot of innocent people, I fucking wouldn't hesitate if they were trying to kill me. But and also just like the majority of media is like so blatantly corrupt and like biased and like very polarized, and that is like, you know, they're just like, okay, this is the agenda for today. How are we going to spin some very vapid, misrepresented stories into that agenda, and, you know, make sure that all the people funding our programs are duly satisfied with how we've managed to slip in them as, like, you know, being our financial backers. And, you know, I like my cushy job. I like my Manhattan fucking penthouse. I don't want to go fucking fight on the front lines. You know, like another conflict journalist I actually appreciate, Christopher Hitchens. Not a lot of people know that. Not a lot of people know Christopher Hitchens was a fucking conflict journalist. He was literally born into that lifestyle. His parents were conflict journalists, and he grew up in apartheid South Africa as they were trying to cover it, and they were barely getting paid anything. Like, I don't know if you've ever heard of the Bang Bang Club, but you know, it's an interesting story, but kind of a sad one. Like, these guys essentially, they would take photographs, and they would sell them to magazines and stuff like that, in South Africa. They were South African, and they would take them as apartheid. They took pictures of, you know, like people like filling tires with gasoline, putting them around the neck of someone, lighting them on fire, like really brutal, like war crime shit. And unfortunately, these things happen, but like it was pretty astounding that these guys covered it, and I think most of them either died from being on the front lines or suicide because of how fucking traumatized they were by what they saw. Like the most probably well-known example is the one guy who took that picture that won a Pulitzer Prize of like the really skinny like child that's like looks like it's passed out and dying, and there's like a vulture right behind it, and he won a Pulitzer Prize for it, but like he got so much fucking flack from the world because they're like, you were right there, you could have fucking helped the child, what's wrong with you? And in reality there was like a UN camp feeding people like right fucking behind where the photograph was taken. He said when he saw that, he took the photo, sat down, lit a cigarette, he yelled to the sky, like cursing God, and cried. And yeah, I mean, like, it's really fucking sad, but reality is full of fucking tragedy, and it's I'm grateful that there are people out there who are willing to put their lives literally on the line, or not literally on the line, but like they're literally risking their lives to fucking capture these moments that would otherwise not really be well known because media may be sort of covering the events from afar or whatever, but that's about it. That's about it, really. But yeah, and these guys were nuts too. They like, they would snort Ritalin and shit to get through, like, these constant threats of death that were like imposed on them all the time. And like, hell, if I'm not killed by my own health issues, I'm sure I'll die young from, smoking. I started smoking cigarettes heavily since I was 11. And you know what? I am well aware of the fact that it is slowly killing me, and that I am basically sipping my toxins, sipping my poison. But yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, I just don't kind of see the value in growing old. And I really hate the whole like, oh, fucking live fast, die young mentality. Like, that's not what I'm getting at. I think that fucking whole notion is kind of sullied things. It's not like, oh, okay, do drugs and be edgy to society. Fuck society, man. Like, how about fuck off? If you wanna like die because you think, doing heroin, beating up members of your audience, and taking advantage of women. I'm thinking of a very specific. I think rockstar is too high of a term for this lowly fucking scummy individual, but I'm not gonna say his name just out of respect, I guess, even though I have no respect for the guy whatsoever. But he wasn't the only person like that. He certainly wasn't. But I think if I was to say go up in a fucking blaze of vapor, just like immediately just like cremated by a like surface to fucking air missile, in the process of trying to bring the truth to the masses, I think I would be happy with that. I think, like I've said this before, I'll say it again, death doesn't scare me. There's one of my buddies. What's up, bro? What's up, bro? I'm sorry, I don't have any more food for you right now. Maybe later. Yeah, see, they know me now. They know me. Took a while, but they know me. Yeah, it just flew right by my head. Look it. Not close enough so you can see it. I'm sure if you could see that, do let me know, because I would like to see that myself. But yeah. I always like to say it to people just very casually. Now we're all gonna die at the end, because it's true. It's true. And that doesn't really bother me all that much. I've been brain dead multiple times in my life already. I'm not fucking scared by that. But what I am scared of is wasting my fucking existence. Part of why I made my video yesterday, that I uploaded yesterday, was because I'm tired of seeing people waste their existence. And I hate seeing people waste their existence, but like make fucking mad money at the same time, and just have this like flock of lemmings just like, like mirroring everything they say, or like, basically like arm wrestling with themselves over their own logic, to be like, oh, but I like this guy, and what he's doing isn't wrong. I'm sorry, but call me like an exposer of charlatans or whatever, but sorry, charlatans should be exposed in my fucking opinion. And again, I'm not perfect. I got a lot of fucking problems myself. I can't say that if I was offered a lot of money, I would not become someone who would turn tail on my own ethics. I'm a human being, damn it. Like, if I was to say that I was immune to that, I would be fucking putting myself and others in a very dangerous situation. Even though the fact of me ever getting a lot of money dangled from my hips for any reason is pretty unlikely. I've never made a dime off YouTube. I'll never make a fucking dime off YouTube, and I don't care, because that's not why I do this. I do this because I think there are things that need to be said, and I think people need to hear them and think for themselves about it. You don't have to fucking agree with me on everything. I openly ask people, like, I'm like, please, fucking, if you have a criticism, please tell me. I want to have a discussion about it. However, if you're someone like in the last video trying to police my grammar only to find out that you're not even doing it correctly, that's just vapid fucking bullshit, and you're just wasting more of the fucking what will probably be a short life that I do have left. So thank you for that. Thank you for that, dude. I just want to close on saying something. I really implore people who are, especially my age, people in general, but people my age, some millennials, or younger Zoomers, to fucking read like shit that's like meaningful, like shit that like, and what has meaning for one may not have meaning to all, like, what has meaning to you might not have meaning to me, but just all I ask is just please don't fucking, like, if you're gonna read, please don't read bullshit. Don't read like self-help books or whatever. Like, that is just like snake oil in text form. there's there's too many Tony Robbins type fucking people in the world as it is. And there certainly aren't enough people like George Orwell or like even Kurt Vonnegut, people who, someone with like the brain of a high schooler can actually read without it being a complete chore, and understand to some degree, and be set off on kind of the right foot. Unfortunately, Kurt Vonnegut is actually banned, I think, now. And I don't know about Canada, but the States for sure. Slaughterhouse-Five, I think, used to be required reading. And Kurt Vonnegut wrote Slaughterhouse-Five. For those of you who don't know, this may surprise those of you who do, if you don't know the story behind it, which I think most people who've read it probably do. But he was captured as a POW, fighting for the Allies, for the States, at the age of 18, and he was kept in a meat locker in Dresden, which was firebombed by the British, by the Allies, and Dresden was by far the worst bombing in World War II. It was worse than Hiroshima and Nagasaki combined by far. People were so fucking desperate that they were using human fat as candle wax by day 5. Bodies were stacked 30 feet in the streets, and so he wrote this novel, I think, as a way of trying to find catharsis himself. Kurt Vonnegut, like myself, he's a pessimist, and I think this is a thing about pessimists that a lot that's a very common misconception amongst most people. They think it's I think it is synonymous with being a doomer. You're just trying to be edgy and life is terrible, and there is no God, and it's pointless, and why do I have to exist? It's not about maybe doomers or like that. I don't know. The only thing I have in common with doomers is I constantly have a cigarette dangling out of my mouth, and my eyes always look really bloodshot because I'm baked as fuck and sleep deprived. But that's about where the buck stops. Pessimists, I think, are people who have experienced a whole variety of hardship, and it is shown them some of the grimmest, grittiest sides of reality. I've told some pretty fucked up stories on my channel, but there's some stuff that I just will not get into because it is just devastatingly bleak in the implications about human beings that are contained within these encounters and experiences I mostly had when I was homeless, and also just constantly being in pain, and major depression, all that shit. Thomas Ligotti, the guy who did that book, Conspiracy Against the Human Race, that I talked about at length in 5 parts, I think. I absolutely that book is by far the fucking I would say it even tops No Longer Human in terms of darkest, most depressing, there is no hope type of book I've ever read. And unlike No Longer Human, which is a book that's fiction but kind of based on the author, very great manga written by Junji Ito, based on it. That's the only one I've read. Ligotti makes actual arguments for why humans are just bad and shouldn't exist, and that life is just inherently bad. But here's the thing about Ligotti: he had terrible depression, and he had awful irritable bowel syndrome. And I've heard irritable bowel syndrome is like one of the worst pain disorders you can get, chronic pain disorders you can get. And he said he spent most of his teens like toppled over in a fetal position, trying not to scream. And it was chilling when I read that, because it reminded me of how I've kind of had to spend years training myself not to do just that. Because I mean, I used to say that I wouldn't wish my fucking nerve pain on Hitler, but there are times when people are well, maybe your pain's not all that bad. Oh, people have it worse than you. Good, you're so full of yourself. Get over your victim complex. And again, fuck those people. But okay, it could be really loud and pull up right beside me. There's no fucking garbage cans here. What are you even doing? Oh my god, fuck's sake. So Ligotti developed bipolar when he was in his mid-40s. That is almost fucking unheard of. My theory is what happened was the irritable bowel syndrome caused him so much stress that his depression and anxiety essentially metamorphosized, I don't know, whatever. It transmuted into bipolar. Not a lot of people know this. I have been debating whether or not I should post this, but I did a second project from my first psychology course that I actually didn't submit. I actually might submit it for this course, which, by the way, I don't even know if I'm going to fucking pass this one, as my health has just been so fucked that I spend most of the time just chasing around fucking the people who are supposed to help me, and consequently not getting a lot of work done in the process. Which if I knew nothing was gonna happen, I would have just fucking bit the bullet and done it without any fucking assistance whatsoever, like I did with the last class. But last time my psychology professor, who's also a therapist, I think she said, she told the class that the majority of people who practice psychology privately don't even have a diploma. Fucking wrap your mind around that. For people who can practice professionally in a clinical setting, in Canada we have a kind of universal health care, if you will. I think it's a pretty broken system, but I mean, when you have cancer, I guess it's good to be able to not have to sell your house and everything you own to fucking pay for treatment. But for the most part, when it comes to stuff that's more long-term, mental health, residential facilities, not residential schools, residential facilities, yes, places where people with mental illness are made to live like prisoners for the rest of their lives. Yes, these places exist all around us. Trust me, I know. I was forced to live in one for a couple of my teen years. But hey, whatever. People don't want to have to deal with the crazies, right? Fuck the crazies. But in this paper that I wrote for the first psych course, which I'm thinking of submitting for this one, because I did 2 projects. I didn't know I had to do 2 projects. I actually was more proud of it than my last one, which is on my channel. I did in a video essay form. Is the Calhoun's Rat Utopia and Fordlandia comparison about how overpopulation and lack of meaningful social roles will lead to like absolute anarchy, and not like even good anarchy. I mean like, hey, like post-apocalyptic style anarchy, like raping and the killing type, cannibalizing type stuff, like Cormac McCarthy The Road type of fucking shit. This one I wrote on how the central nervous system and its relation to stress can result in people having a lowered immune system. I'm immunocompromised, and I think that is because my central nervous system is so fucked up. Like they're both very tightly intertwined. And what's also intertwined is your gut health and your neurological health, your neurochemical regulation, all that good stuff. It's heavily affected by your gut health. Hence why I think Ligotti got bipolar from being in so much intestinal pain over the years. Yeah, like trust me, having a good diet can do wonders for one's physical and mental health. I, for the most part, try to have a good diet, but I must admit at bedtime, when I do the Phoenix Tears and take a fuckload of CBD, because I have to really knock myself the fuck out if I even want to hope to get any sleep. I get the munchies like a motherfucker. And mind you, I've been smoking weed like fucking hours leading up to that. Yeah, so I'll indulge usually, but then I'll like if I've already brushed my teeth, like I'll brush my teeth again, shit like. But for the most part, yeah, I mean, I cook my meals, I fucking tell all the food groups. It's not hard to do, it's not expensive. You know, I guess you could say, the luxury of, having very supportive parents, I'm an active member of the household, and I hate that I'm a 28-year-old man living with my parents. If I could afford to live on my own, I would, but I can't, and I spent so much of my life where I just, had to learn to cope with the pain enough to be dependent. And, I mean, if it wasn't for the fucking, utter ball and chain, the ultimate ball and chain that is methadone and, a heavy fucking dose of Valium, seriously, if I don't take Valium for a day, I will die of agonizing seizures, one after another, until I, either die from banging my head on the floor, blood loss from biting my tongue out, or a cerebral hemorrhage. No, it is bad. People don't know how fucking serious benzo dependency is, physical dependency. If it wasn't for those things, I would have been out of this fucking prison city for a long time, man. Or a long time ago, and I would be gone for a while, yeah. I'm even willing to make a concession that maybe I wouldn't be so pessimistic if I was able to see more of the world. I saw a great deal of the world when I was younger, but I think it would be nice to get an experience to do it again and not be stuck in a fucking van shitty for the rest of my life. But yeah, that's exactly what I intend to do. But there was one aspect that I really didn't like about traveling, which was being a tourist. I don't want to be a fucking tourist. I want to be someone who's actively, entrenched in whatever the fuck is going on, whatever problems may be occurring in, various parts of the world that, just no one else wants to put their ass on the line to do. I think it would be a meaningful way conceives of a life that, some may condemn me of having wasted, which, you know what, that's their fucking prerogative too. I'm not gonna I could debate them on that. I don't think that's necessarily true. I do think I made a lot of bad choices in my life, but I do think I'm making a lot of good choices now and a lot of responsible choices. And overall, just being a big boy and shit. And I do think I'm not like completely useless. I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed. I'm pretty incompetent when it comes to a lot of stuff. But I also I don't want to just die slowly and painfully. That's the only part of death that I'm not looking forward to at all. I would like to take what time I have and do something meaningful with it. Anyways, we've covered a lot of ground, so if you've actually watched all this, wow. And I'm sorry I've had the camera inverted the entire time. I'm not the best multitasker. I got a cigarette in one hand and crows flying around me, and trying to string together what is a case that I feel needs many, many bricks to be aligned into a foundation to make. It takes a bit of effort. But hey, it's nice. Today, as I said, I took a break from doing dextrin, because, it just stops working after that. It stops working, it's just kind of pointless. And usually I'm so lethargic that I can't do anything except for, get stoned and, eat and, just, fucking lay down all day. But on my off days, I take Modafinil now. Totally get it prescribed. Yeah. No, really, they should prescribe it for ADHD. Because, think of me now compared to a lot of my other videos. Do I seem more cohesive and focused and less scattered? Less like I'm on the fucking upper? Which, yes, if you have ADD as bad as mine, it's not going to have the traditional upper effects on you. But it still does make me a little jittery sometimes, especially when my CNS is, hypersensitive from my existing conditions, and then the benzo withdrawal, which makes them fucking 110% worse. I think, look at my hand. Usually my hand would be shaking. I see why ER surgeons prescribe this to themselves all the time. I'm not stimulated, but I'm awake and I feel functional. And so I'm going to use that energy because I've got some shit to do today, and I got some schoolwork. I've got to meet a guy to buy some smokes. Got to fucking pick up a Steam card so I can fucking game online with a buddy and shit to do, feeding crows too. Yeah, be a bro, feed some crows. All right, peace.